Hi Aishwarya, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, Vashi. How are you?
I am well, thank you, and thank you so much for joining us today. Taking out the time to, give us a quick testimonial. So,
Oh,
to start with this, if you could give us a quick introduction about yourself, let our viewers know, who you are, your profile, why did you come to us? Let's start with that first.
sure, sure. I'm Aishwarya. My background is in BCom honors, specializing in finance and investment. And post my undergrad, I have around 8 years of work experience, primarily in operations consulting and internal strategy teams, both across Big Four as well as Citibank. The reason why I sort of, wanted to sort of pursue an MBA at this point was because, I had certain ideas in terms of where I see my short and long term career going forward. And, over the last 1 or 2 years, I've had certain experiences that gave me that kind of clarity. And I felt an MBA would be sort of the best platform for me to advance my career in that direction and also just build and expand and get a new set of networks and things of that sort. And the reason why I sort of reached out to an MBA counselor and LilacBuds is mainly because I needed some sort of a direction in this regard, because I there was a lot of counselors out there. There's a lot of different components to the application process. And I just needed some a one-stop shop to kind of help me end to end from the very beginning till the end. And I think Lilac Buds did a great job in sort of guiding me through that.
Thank you so much for that. So I do remember the first conversation we had, which was like way back in April when you reached
Yeah.
out to us, and it was you and I only. We had that quick call, okay, I'm looking for an MBA counsel. So what were your chief concerns when you started this process, wanting to understand, okay, obviously there is a lot of info out in the market. Is it the right fit for
Yeah.
me? Who is the right fit? Schools. So what was going through your mind and how did we help you out in that? If you could share.
Sure, sure, sure. I think when I first started off the entire application process, I severely underestimated how rigorous the entire, application process would be like. I think I underestimated and I thought that, if you do, the application process for one or two colleges, you can sort of replicate that for others and it would be sort of a piece of cake. But I was, very much mistaken. And, some of my concerns were mainly around the fact that I was clear in terms of why I wanted to do an MBA, but I just needed that sort of a structure in terms of, okay, what are some of my target universities looking for? What are some of those university specific insights, region specific insights for my sort of career aspirations? I also wanted help in terms of, trying to firm up some of my essays, because there are a lot of ideas running around, but going to a specialized counselor like Lilac Buds and Presh, who I had interacted with, he had helped me a lot in trying to structure some of my thoughts and really come up with well-rounded essays that highlighted all of my strengths for each and every university. So that was another area where I was a bit concerned, but Lilac Buds definitely helped me out. And finally, I also just wanted to really understand, okay, for one particular university, what are some of the key things that they're looking at for, and what are some of those university specific insights from alumni, from people who have been to those universities, who have worked with other students. And that was something that Lilac Buds was able to help me with because of their past experience.
Perfect. Another thing which I do remember vividly was, during the onboarding process, the GRE was a concern, what schools, so how did that happen? What was your score? And finally,
Yeah.
what schools did you end up applying to decisions, if you could share that?
Sure, sure. So I wrote my GRE twice actually. The first time around, I got the score of 309, and I was a bit hesitant. I remember speaking to you about it and just getting your thoughts in terms of, these are some of the universities that I definitely am targeting, and they're some of the top universities in the world. And what are my sort of chances of getting in, basis my current score of 309? And I remember the advice that you gave me, and you told me you were the one who sort of urged me, saying that it would be better and would really help my chances if I wrote it another time. And I'm glad that we actually spoke, because that gave me that sort of clarity, because I knew that I didn't want to compromise on my
I remember.
yeah, the probability of getting into some of these universities. So I wrote it a second time and I got a 323. Within 3, 4 weeks, I was able to bump up that score. So I was really glad. And some of the universities that I applied to five. So they were INSEAD, LBS, London Business School, HEC Paris, Oxford, and Cambridge.
Okay. And what were your final results? I think that's the drum roll we want to hear. So, what accepted, what happened, where are you finally going? So, let's go.
Sure, sure. So the results from these were I got accepted into INSEAD, HEC Paris, and Oxford. I was waitlisted for London Business School, and I was passed on by Cambridge. So yeah, and the final decision that I made was to pursue my MBA from INSEAD because that was my number one choice from the very beginning. So I'm really glad that I was able to sort of get admitted into my dream school.
I think, well, what started well, how we got onto this journey, it really helped you and, it worked in your favor at least. That apprehension, okay. The first I remember HEC also came at a later date, it was majorly, okay, INSEAD LPS. Do I get into these two schools? Should I apply? Will we apply to these schools? I think that was where the initial, I think, 7, 8 conversations always revolved around. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think INSEAD,
No,
converting
that's
INSEAD,
we sort of shortlist that entire list because there was a point at one point, where I was thinking, okay, is there any merit in applying to US schools? There are, other schools beyond these five that I could look at, maybe safety schools. So there's all of these different options that you need to consider. Because at the end of the day, you want the best possible outcome for you. You want to cover all your bases. And I think over these multiple conversations with you, with Presh, I was able to sort of narrow down in terms of what my priorities are, in terms of just like the curriculum, in terms of just the type of, entire experience that each university provides. I was able to look into all those factors and narrow down and shortlist these five with the help of LilacBuds.
perfect. So you mentioned Prayash working with you on your applications one-on-one. So how was your experience working with Prayash? And any special moment or highlight you would like to let us know all throughout?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I just want to start off by saying that I loved working with Presh. I think that was a game changer for me. He was involved in my application from the very beginning till the end. And even now, if I have any question, I feel very comfortable to kind of just, go get on a call or, send a voice note and ask that sort of question. And he's very receptive, very responsive. My experience with him has always been great. He helped me a lot, especially in the essay review and reiteration stage, because there were a lot of ideas flying around, and he really helped me sort of brainstorm that and narrow it down into, certain key aspects that I can highlight for each of my applications. He was very dedicated for each and every one of my, school application essays, scholarship essays, as well as even when it came to the interview stage, he was the one that was conducting some of my mock interviews, giving me sample questions, sending me, certain links of websites that I could possibly refer to. So, just in terms of like the support that I got from him, it was great, and I don't think I could have done it without that.
Great. So, I know you've let us know, so any key benefits specifically where you feel an applicant should look for a consultant or, because like you also mentioned, you felt, the two applications I do, then repurposing does happen. So, something of that sort where you felt, okay, yeah, this was where I feel using a consultant or, engaging Lilac Buds was really what turned it around for me.
Yeah, yeah. So, in fact, I've actually recommended Lilac Buds to a couple of my friends because I truly believe that that was what gave me an edge. And I definitely think, if possible, if people are able to kind of get that service, they should definitely go for it. And some of the highlights that help me out personally would be, first and foremost, just getting those university insights and just trying to understand, okay, how to tailor my application for a particular university. What are they looking at? And what are some of the strengths in my profile? Kind of like having a sounding board that I can go to. That was really helpful. And secondly, is just structuring the entire process, giving an entire schedule to it. When is my first draft supposed to be ready? When am I supposed to be ready with my scholarship essays? Just trying to get that all together, because there are a lot of things running in parallelly during the applications. You're working, you have your applications, then possibly you might be writing GRE or GMAT at the same time. So it can get a bit overwhelming. So that is where a counselor and LilacBuds also can come into play and help structure that, give you a timeline, give you a plan, just also just give you that moral support, because at the end of the day
True.
you have an expert who's done this, and who's done this for so many other students, so they've been through this, and they help sort of calm your nerves down. So Prayesh was definitely instrumental in calming my nerves down before some of these interviews. So yeah.
No, I do understand. See, once you have that structure, I think it gives you that hope, that comfort, something to fall back on. And, okay, breathe out. Yes, I know this is handled and the pressure is off my shoulder. So, yeah, and I do
Exactly.
agree. Prayash is in that way a very calming person, you know, okay, this is done. Don't worry. I'll handle it at my end. Don't worry. So, he's definitely that
Yeah,
kind of a
yeah,
mentor.
exactly, exactly. And he was very upfront in terms of, okay, what do I need to improve? What are my strengths? What can I highlight? Any question, no question was too dumb for me to ask. So that was great. And just in general, I think one thing that also really helped me, which I want to call out, is those questions that you have in the Lilac Buds portal for video interviews, where you can just sort of take your own time and just record yourself, just have it's a kind of like a repository of sample interview questions. And that's super important, because out of the five universities I applied to, three out of the five had a video component to it, and that is an instrumental part of the shortlisting process. So just having that repository of questions, of past questions for each school, kind of just really structured in that portal, really helped me a couple of days prior to my interview, and just helping me get prepared.
Yep. So you mentioned the LB portal. How was, using that, going through your meetings, documents, instead of
Yeah.
those Zooms and, so did that help you out? Did it make a difference to your process to, ease off things for you?
It did definitely, because it was good because it had everything in sort of one place. So the entire schedule of all my meetings were planned inside the portal. So if I needed any reference of that, I could always go there. Even in terms of the meetings being recorded and transcribed and having the notes automatically sent to me, all of that really helped make the process very seamless. It wasn't something where I had to spend extra time to write down certain notes. And at the end of the day, because you're applying to five schools, some people might be applying to more, it's difficult to sort of keep track of all the various different points that you need to keep in mind for each university. So having all those meetings in the portal really helped, because it was that one stop shop for me to refer. And just in general, all of those video interviews, and I know there's a separate area in the portal to get information on some of the universities as well. So all of that, I think is a great platform, and definitely helped me out.
Thank you so much. So Aishwarya, what advice you would have for any future applicants who want to, start thinking of at least pursuing their journey abroad or, applying for MBAs, your nuggets of wisdom for them.
Okay, sure. So I think my first the first thing that comes to my mind is the fact that it's very important for people to be clear on why they're doing their MBA. I think because that is a question that's going to be looming large at every stage. At the initial application stage when you're writing your essays, even during the interview stage, and well into your actual B school experience, you will always need to know exactly why you're pursuing MBA, do that with conviction. And I think that itself sort of opens up the opportunities in terms of getting callbacks from universities and things of that sort, if you're very clear on that. And it really makes the process a lot more easier. And so I would suggest really take out the time, really introspect in terms of what your strengths are, what is your past experience, how will it tie into your future goals, what do you see your career looking like, where do you see your career being, which geography. So these are kind of questions I think it's best to kind of ponder on a couple of months in advance. Just try to think about it before you start the application process. And secondly, on an operational level, I would just say that just keep everything organized. It's really easy to kind of have a lot of things get away from you. So have a schedule, have certain timelines, deadlines for yourself, for your counselor, communicate all of that. And I think that would really help in keeping you structured and on the right path.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking up the time. I think this
No.
was really insightful. It would help a lot of future MBA applicants to decide. Now we'll be
Yeah.
seeing you at INSEAD, you joining in August. So that's, I think, starting from that first conversation in April, now sitting in January, I think it was the aim what we both, we started this journey with. And I think, yeah, I'm really happy to have this
Uh,
conversation with you today. So,
Thanks so
amazing.
much, Vash. I loved it. I mean, it was a crazy journey, but I'm glad that it ended to this point. So a lot
Yep.
more to look forward to, definitely. This is the beginning. So I'm excited about that. And thanks so much for all your help.
No, appreciate it. Thank you so much.